Get ready, Ohio. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, is coming to the Buckeye State. And to kick things off, you can get started with $100 in free bets as an early sign-up bonus. Plus, when you sign up today with promo code OhioSB, you'll be all set for when FanDuel goes live in Ohio. Then you can bet on all your favorite teams and all your favorite sports with $100 in free bets. Just download FanDuel's top-rated sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Ohio, this is your chance to get in on the action. Join today with promo code OhioSB. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 plus and present in Ohio. Bonus issued in non-withdrawable free bets that expire 7 days after FanDuel accepts its first real money sports wager in Ohio on 1/1/23. Unique user identity verification required. Offer ends on the go-live date. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Peloton's best offer of the season is here. Get up to $300 off accessories when you purchase a Peloton bike, Bike Plus, or Tread. Choose from a variety of accessories like our cycling shoes, a heart rate monitor, non-slip grip dumbbells, and more. If you've been looking for a sign to join Peloton, this offer gives you everything you need to get going. This limited time offer ends November 28th. Visit onepeloton.com to learn more. All access membership separate. Offer starts November 14th and ends November 28th. Cannot be combined with other offers. See additional terms at onepeloton.com.
Hello and welcome to the Over and Back Classic NBA podcast. I am Jason, and with me as usual is Rich. Hello, Rich.
Hello, we're back, finally.
We are back, yeah. We've took a little hiatus, enjoying the beginning of the NBA season, as we all predicted. Utah Jazz, obviously best team in basketball. You know, that
remember this. Yes, we recorded this November 8th, 2022. So remember that when they go on a 45-game losing streak or something later in the year after Danny Ainge trades all their good players. But remember, at one point, November 8th, 2022, they were the NBA's best team.
Sure.
Or they go on to win the championship, and we could say, wow, remember when we said that they were the best team?
Remember
right.
when we did that? Yeah, we were right. What
it's not a really prediction. It's more analysis than prediction, but we'll still say we're right. So
yeah. Anyway, we are going to talk about something we can safely say we are right about, and that is the NBA's past, because it has been documented, and as long as our interpretation of it is correct, and you can argue whether that is or not, we're going to be accurate. So way to go.
Go us, yeah.
Go history. Us, yeah.
Never changes, so we can I guess our, like you said, our analysis of said history could be wrong, but what we're going to say, a lot of the content we're going to say is not wrong because it already happened. So
right, yeah, unless we get our facts incorrect, which is possible, but usually we're pretty good about it. We measure twice, cut once, so to speak. So.
Exactly. Right.
All right, so we are continuing the series that we started previously. We are going to talk about the Hall of Famers who played for every NBA franchise. So, we're going to talk about Chicago Bulls first. And, hey, Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, Hall of Famers on that team, pretty easily. But, yeah, Robert Parrish. Did you remember Robert Parrish played for the Bulls? Well, he did. And
for asking me, I definitely know. I absolutely know.
Right. So, yeah, well, you absolutely know. But some of our listeners
a lot of people do not know. Yes, no.
Right, or may have, just thought about that. So, yeah, we're going to go through the guys who played, talk about their Bulls legacies. We also are going to talk about guys who, maybe they were drafted or were acquired and never played, some weird what ifs. Some guys who have on the team likely to be in the Hall of Fame, or at least possibility. And then, just kind of jam about a little bit and see how it goes.
Absolutely. Yeah, should be a blast.
All right. You want to start with Chicago Bulls? Your Chicago Bulls?
Yeah, my Chicago Bulls. Let's do it.
Right. Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So you got the Bulls here. Hall of Famers, as you mentioned, Robert Parrish, a Chicago Bulls Hall of Famer, only 0.9 win shares, though, for Robert Parrish on the Bulls. Yeah. It was just one season. He was 43, but hey, he got himself a ring, so good for him. Yeah, exactly. Rick Adelman, 1.2 win shares for him. George Gervin, 3 win shares. Nate Thurman, 5.1. Guy Rogers, 6. Ben Wallace. Do not remind me of the Ben Wallace Bulls era, but he got 10.6 win shares. I was hoping that we would just skip over this and we wouldn't talk about it, and now I'm going to do that. We'll move on to Dennis Rodman, who had 20 win shares as a member of the Chicago Bulls. Tony Kukoc, 41.2. Jerry Sloan, Artis Gilmore, 66.5 win shares for him. Chet Walker, 67.0. And now an extra pantheon for these two guys. Scottie Pippen at 99.7. And then slightly ahead of him with 204.5, Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan. Yeah.
Better at basketball than a few of these guys on this list. So a better Chicago Bull, undeniably.
Sure.
We talked about things that are true. Michael Jordan, undeniably a better Chicago Bull than Ben Wallace.
And Rick Adelman, even? Yeah.
Well, I mean, win shares by season. I mean, Rick's, he's only there 1 year and he gets 1.2. I mean, I don't know.
Nice. Yeah, I don't know. It's
1.2 win shares in 67 games is pretty good.
It's a theory. Yeah.
It's not great, but it's good. Yeah. I guess.
So Rick, of course, is in as a coach. The guys who are in as coaches are going to be part of this list. That's just the way that the stat head search works. And why not? We'll talk about them. So, the Hall of Famers who were drafted or acquired but never played for the franchise. We got. I had forgotten about this until we did the research. Dikembe Mutombo.
Yes. That is my all-time, hey, did you know that this guy was a member of the Bulls for an hour or two, guy. Right. And I forget, there was some Twitter trend about 4 or 5 months ago that was hey, guys that are on teams that you don't really remember. And this is the one I always bring up, Dikembe Mutombo, a Chicago Bull for a couple of hours or whatever. It did not last very long until he was on the way to Houston. So.
Right. Came from the Knicks, was hung out in Chicago, did not play, and then ended up with the Houston Rockets. So fun times. LaMarcus Aldridge, who's a 51% Hall of Fame probability, of course, was drafted and then traded for Tyrese Thomas. That didn't work out so well for
both. Me of that.
Although I thought that Tyrese Thomas was going to be really good. He was one of those guys that I thought was just going to be really awesome.
Yeah, he was one that. So at the time, I had a few friends that were Tyrese Thomas guys. And I saw it. I absolutely saw it. I absolutely was yes, this guy jumps out of the gym. He can do, athleticism for days. He's 6'7". It looked perfectly. But something about LaMarcus Aldridge just was nah, this is the guy. I don't know. This is the guy. And then when LaMarcus Aldridge was immediately good and Tyrese Thomas was immediately not good, it was I had it over my friends for a couple of years about Aldridge. But I mean, Thomas ended up having I guess an okay career. Aldridge obviously had a good career, kind of tailed off a little bit, but to still see him at 51% is pretty surprising, because I think a lot of people would just kind of assume that he wasn't to that level, but he was a guy for a couple of years. I mean, there was a definite couple of years where he was a top tier NBA player. So I surprises him if he won, but also knowing that I lived through it and remembering what those years were like. Yeah, it does make sense that he'd be there.
Yeah, he's sort of an interesting one, because I think if you look at he was never he was never a top 5 player. He could have arguably been a top 10 player at a certain point, not definite, but I could see there. But you look at kind of what he amassed over his career as a solid player. He's over 20,000 points. He shows up as a valuable player. He did not win a championship. Went to the Spurs after they won the 2014 championship, 2016. So, doesn't have that, but was a really good player for a long time. Sort of an interesting idea, in terms of, he was a 7-time All-Star, 5-time All-NBA, which is maybe a little more than I was expecting on that. So anyway, I don't think it's impossible. I don't think he's likely to be, but he's kind of I was going to say Buck Williams. Actually, I think he's a little bit higher level than Buck Williams is in terms of his career. But just kind of a guy who was played for a long time, was really good to solid for a long time, but obviously not particularly flashy.
Yeah, and even last year he averaged 12.9 points per game for Brooklyn, which I kind of forget that he was even on Brooklyn, even though it was just this last year. But he stayed consistent and stayed solid enough throughout. So he accumulated a lot of numbers, even if very rarely was he spectacular in his career.
Sure. So possible future Hall of Famers. We got Dwayne Wade, 100%. Yeah, going to be in the Hall of Fame. Yep. Not no argue. Pau Gasol, 93%. I think almost certainly going to be in the Hall of Fame. Jimmy Butler right now at 71%. We did this research before the season started, so he might be slightly higher now, but we're just close enough. 71%. What do you think of Jimmy Butler's Hall of Fame odds?
Yeah, it doesn't seem like he's a Hall of Famer, having watched almost all of his career, pretty much watching all of it, especially at beginning in Chicago. He has accumulated a lot over recent years. Obviously, the late Bulls run was when he first kind of emerged as a star, kind of a pseudo star or whatever. Obviously the Minnesota stuff, it was good, but that didn't last that long. Philadelphia didn't last that long, but he's carved out a nice career for himself just in Miami as well. So I don't know, maybe he's probably got to accumulate a few more things to get up there. But yeah, I'd say a little surprised that he's at 71%. But, you know, if you look at what he's accomplished, he has accomplished a lot, and he has put together a really, really good NBA career that's now getting into, you know, a decade plus at this point too. So he definitely, I feel like he doesn't feel like a Hall of Famer right now, but check with me in 2-3 years and he might feel a little bit more. Yeah.
I mean, the playoff reputation, at least, I think helps. You know, 4-time All NBA, but all of those were third teams. He's also 5-team all defense. All of those were second teams. I mean, certainly the Miami years, you know, taking them to finals, and the perception of how he played and how well he carried that team, even though they didn't win, was certainly helps him. I can see it. I think definitely, you know, another couple years of being elite or close to elite level player, you know, maybe another deep playoff. Or maybe obviously if they can help get to the finals and can help them win a championship, that's going to seal the deal. Assuming he doesn't quite get to that, I still think he's got some chances. He's been hurt a lot. That's probably the other thing that like knocks him down. Like, he hasn't played more than 65 games since 2017 season. So, you know, that's the one thing where, you know, he gets hurt a lot. And I don't know if that's like going to kill him, but but that might hurt in terms of like more All NBA or more All-Star appearances. So, then we got Rajon Rondo. I think we talked about last time, 60%. That one seems a little bit less likely to me. If you want to talk about some more recent Bulls, Derrick Rose at 12%, of course, has that MVP. And Joakim Noah, 0.6%. Kind of expecting a little bit more from him, you know?
Yeah, he had an All-NBA year, Joakim Noah. Right. So, yeah, I mean, it was just one of them. You know, it's not a lot, but still at 0.6, that's like completely irrelevant to the discussion. And I don't know that Joakim Noah is completely irrelevant to the discussion of Hall of Fame. I don't know. That seems incredibly low for him. Incredibly low.
And it was first team All NBA. It was only one.
Yeah, right.
Right. Yeah.
But still, that's a small list of guys that are there. And I'm not saying that I'm voting for Noah in the Hall of Fame, but 0.6 is like minuscule amount for him, and that just doesn't seem right.
Yeah, I don't think he's quite in, but I do think I was surprised. I figured 5-6%.
Yeah.
Like that. Right. Yeah, exactly. So. All right, so best what-if scenario. I will start first. Are the 75 Bulls better off if they don't trade for Nate Thurmond and they just keep Clifford Ray? They basically had an otherwise similar roster from 74 to 75, but they had a worse record in SRS in 75, even though they went deeper in the playoffs. With the Bucks and Lakers no longer contenders, would the path just have cleared for the Bulls to win the West without making that trade?
Man, yeah. Nate does help him a lot. That's a tough one. That is really tough because that's hard because when you traded for Nate Thurmond, you were getting, you know, all that he brought, but the problem was like he immediately fell off when he went to the Bulls. You know what I mean? Like, so I see what you're saying. Yeah, probably because Clifford Ray was still, I think, 24, 25 at that time, I think, so still pretty young. And he obviously he never had like eye-popping numbers. Like, you look at his basketball reference page, and you might think like, oh, this guy, but like affected the game in a lot of different ways and was very well-rounded, very good. I probably, you know, honestly, because Nate Thurmond did fall off so fast and so quickly, and he's pretty much gone, and pretty much his NBA career was done, you know, halfway through the next year. So at least what it does, I don't know if in that 1 year it helps, but it definitely keeps their window open a lot longer if they just have Clifford Ray as opposed to Nate Thurmond, I think.
Yeah, because you know, a couple of those guys retired, but they still had Van Leer. You know, I mean, Van Leer was pretty young. He was really the only guy under 30 at that point, so they were all pretty old. But yeah, you know, Van Leer, Clifford Ray, you know, maybe Mickey Johnson was emerging. You know, that team could have been all right. Probably not a contender, but you know, they might have been able to hold on, have another run. Yeah, Thurmond from 74 to 75, he went from 13 points to 7.9 points, 14 rebounds to 11.3, and he went from 44% shooting to 36% shooting, which I think was definitely the thing that fell off the most. Yeah, he did. He did go to Cleveland next year and was part of that miracle of Richfield team, and then, you know, did retire after the 77 season. Definitely. So that's a good point. Yeah, it's an interesting idea for sure.
My what if scenario here is if Dennis Rodman does not come to the Bulls in 1996, do they three-peat? Now, they would have already lost Horace Grant. So if you're saying, well, they have Horace Grant, no, he was already gone at that time. And their next best big men are, you know, some combo of Will Perdue and Bill Wennington and Brian Williams, the future Bison Dele. I don't know. Do you think Rodman was that instrumental to them winning that next three-peat, or do you think it was just enough to have Jordan and just enough to have Pippen, and they would have just figured it out anyway? And Kukoc, obviously, there as well. Or do you think Rodman was like essential in that next three-peat?
Yeah, I don't think they win all three without Rodman. They might win two out of the three, and they might even make three finals. But I don't. I mean, it depends, of course, on what else. If they could have made, if they could have gotten like a valuable player. But I mean, there are very few players in NBA history who did exactly what Rodman did and did it as well as he did. And two, they got him almost for free. I mean, just because of course, how bad things were in San Antonio, but they traded Will Purdue for him. So yeah, I think he was important enough that they do not three-peat. Again, they still would have been really good. They still definitely, would have won a championship or two during that. But yeah, they're not that good without Rodman.
Yeah, especially that first year, that 96 or that, win the 72 games or whatever. Like Rodman was great that year. By the third year, he's really kind of just, Dennis Rodman and all the good and the bad of it or whatever.
Right.
And, but at that point, 96, he is still great and he is still affecting the game in so many different ways. 97 as well. So yeah, I think those 2 years, he helps tremendously. By 98, who knows? But I'm with you. I don't think they three-peat. I think, they probably are still competitive, obviously still making NBA finals and probably win at least one or two. But yeah, three-peat. It seems like Rodman was pretty essential to that happening. Whereas, some combination of Will Purdue and Bill Weddington and Brian Williams, that's not enough. Rodman was a big part of those guys winning that title.
Yeah, I agree. So, all right, Ultimate Hall of Fame hipster jersey. Rich, I'll let you go first.
Well, as a man who owns a black Dennis Rodman with the red pinstripes jersey,
okay,
it's that one. It's Dennis Rodman with the red pinstripes. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go classic mid '80s George Gervin. Because I do enjoy the random he was a superstar, but he was really bad for the team and it worked out terribly. That's always fun. You could also, I would Artis Gilmore would be a good one too. That'd be a fun one. That's an actually good Chicago Bulls player from an era in which they were not good, but. Yeah, of course. Going back to our other what if they stay young and they get Artis Gilmore, that might help them a little bit. Yeah, they might have more depth for when they get Gilmore as opposed to all the older guys played. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Gervin for the irony.
I like it.
All right. An Ultimate Hall of Fame cool kid jersey. Gonna go with Tony Kukoc.
I mean, when you put that answer down, I tried to find a different one. But it's Tony Kukoc, man, and you just do not see enough Tony Kukoc jerseys in the wild. I can tell you in Chicago, it is a rarity. When I do see it, though, immediate stop and immediate high five for that guy. Like hell yeah, baby, Tony Kukoc. So it's hard. It's not easy to find them in the wild, but when you do that, it's a real one. So Tony Kukoc definitely the answer here.
All right. Next, we have the Seattle Supersonics / Oklahoma City Thunder. Well, of course, people love it when we combine those histories, but hey, they are there. So what can we do?
For a little bit longer, yes. I think soon-ish we might be splitting that history, but for now, yes, they are the Seattle Supersonics, Oklahoma City Thunder. Gary Payton, I believe, if you go to the Oklahoma City Thunder, all-time win shares, Gary Payton, all-time Thunder win shares.
Right.
Right up there, obviously. Kevin Durant's obviously number one, but it's that is the most horrific thing you can do is go to these weird franchises and look at Pelicans legend Baron Davis or whatever. It's just all weird, but or Bobcats legend Baron Davis, I should say. So.
Yeah, Bobcats legend Baron Davis. So actually, funny enough, I don't know why I just realized this, but actually none of the players who are in the Hall of Fame, none of them played for the Thunder. They all played for the Sonics. So.
Oh no, what a comedy of errors. So.
All right, yes. So we got Patrick Ewing, of course, who played for 79 games in 2001 series. Sarunas Marshalonis, I forgot he played for the Sonics. Paul Westphal in the misadventure of the Paul Westphal for Dennis Johnson trade, which we'll talk a little bit about in a bit. David Thompson, also toward the end of his career with the knee injury and the cocaine. Rod Thorne, of course, better known as a NBA executive and team general manager, but did spend a few years with the Sonics. Dennis Johnson, of course, one of the key players in the 79 title team, and of course, later a great Celtic. Lenny Wilkens was, of course, player and then later coach for the Sonics for the 79 title. Spencer Haywood, early 70s, big star for the Sonics, controversial for flouting the NBA's age limit rules. Ray Allen, the highlight of the end of the Supersonics. Jack Sikma, of course, another one of the key members of the 79 title team, and the aforementioned Gary Payton, of course, the greatest player in Sonics history and the stalwart, along with Sean Kemp, of the 1990 Sonics.
Yeah, so all these Thunder's legends.
Right. All right. Yes.
Thunder legend, Lenny Wilkens. All right. Yeah.
All right.
There we go. All right.
There you go. All right. We only got one Hall of Famer drafted or required, but never played for the franchise. We got Scottie Pippen, of course. He was traded, drafted by the Sonics, but traded in a prearranged trade to the Bulls. Possible future Hall of Famers. We got a lot of them. We got Kevin Durant, who's at 100%. We got Chris Paul, also at 100%. Russell Westbrook, 99%. I don't know if it's his recent play has brought him down in the percentage. I don't know if that can happen, but probably not significantly. Of course, he's a definite Hall of Famer. James Harden, also 99%. Carmelo Anthony at 98%. And Paul George at 84%. If you look at former Sonics, Sean Kemp, 38%. Gus Williams at 11%. And Detlef Schrempf at 3.3%.
Yeah, so it's obviously the influx of Thunder going into is going to completely change, this franchise's and they have a good list. I mean, that's a pretty good list of guys already, but yeah, you're going to get a huge influx here. Some of these guys are like, Chris Paul and Carmelo and Paul George and whatnot are, pretty Thunder ones. But yeah, Durant, obviously, Russell Westbrook, James Harden, those guys all belong. And then, yeah, it's I don't know if are we going to get another Sonic? Well, obviously Kevin Durant be the last Sonic to go in until we get, a new Sonics franchise. If we do, nothing's going to change with Sean Kemp. So
yeah, I mean, maybe he could be a guy that they were like, oh yeah, we never put him in. It's not impossible. I don't necessarily see that happening, but it's, there's sometimes guys who you go kind of like, oh, okay, they put them in. All right, cool. That's fine. Like, I don't have any problem with Sean Kemp going in. Like, he was 3-time All-NBA, 6-time All-Star. I mean, he was like certainly one of the more memorable players of his time, particularly with the dunks, and the Sonics were a pretty memorable and fun team. So I don't have a problem with him going in. I actually kind of would like it. I like Sean Kemp a lot when he played. So
for sure. I can definitely rationalize it. I could definitely rationalize getting Kemp in there if you can. But yeah, he's a guy that gets a little bit of groundswell where eventually people go, you know what? Let's put some respect on Sean Kemp and let's watch some dunks. Let's watch some dunk highlights and go, God damn, that guy's got to get in the Hall of Fame. And then after you're done watching the dunk highlights, you can watch his real highlights and go, what? This guy was really good for like a decade. Yeah, we should maybe put him in here. So maybe he didn't get the accolades and whatnot, but a good player for sure.
Oh, absolutely. All right. So I'll let you start with your best what if scenario.
Yeah. So it's about Sean Kemp, but it's also about Gary Payton. It's really about the Seattle franchise in general, but mostly about Gary Payton here. Is how different is Sonics history and really Gary Payton's career as well if the NBA doesn't have their weird rule that no contracts could get adjusted until October 1997. This is the same rule that caused a lot of turmoil in Chicago with Scottie Pippen and the Bulls, and it caused a ton of turmoil in Seattle with Sean Kemp and the Sonics, where he is saying, hey, I'm being underpaid, and they, they're a basketball management, so they're probably not like, oh yeah, man, that sucks. We'd love to pay you so much more, but we just can't, But they, because of the CBA, they couldn't like rip up a contract. So it was, well, we can wait until you're, free agent and re-sign you, or we can trade you and then you can restructure your deal. But as it stands, we can't do that. So it's a really weird rule, and thankfully it went away as quick as possible because it caused a lot of problems. But what would have happened if the Sonics were able to keep Kemp happy until they could sign him to a new deal in the offseason because he was upset and annoyed about this? And if you do not know this, we are Cleveland Cavaliers Sean Kemp respecters on this podcast, because look at his number. He wasn't bad. Like, people assume that the second he left Seattle, he got fat and he got bad. No, he didn't. He was very good in Cleveland. He was a little fatter in Cleveland, but that's all right. We all put on a few pounds here and there.
Hey,
you know what? Happens to the best of us, but he was still very good in Cleveland. So if he stays in Seattle as good as he was in Cleveland, Gary Payton stays there. Everybody kind of stays in shape. They continue to win. Maybe they win a title. He stays in Seattle. Gary Payton's career, I think, changes a lot as well. I think he might get a legit ring, more legit than the one in Miami, which is a ring, and he was a big part of that team. But like, it would have felt a little bit different if he won that in Seattle. You know what I mean? So, so much of NBA history changes. Do the Supersonics go away? Does Gary Payton stay there for his entire career? Is he thought of as even more of a legend than he is right now? Where does Sean Kemp's career grow? He's probably not only 38% if he stays. I mean, so much changes in Seattle and NBA history. If that, they could have just kept him happy until then, but they didn't, and then they had to get rid of him, and then he had to go to Cleveland, and then it just kind of all went downhill for him and for Seattle, and then ultimately for Gary Payton's run in Seattle as well, as he's out the door a couple years after that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I man, that's a great one. That's one of the best ones. I mean, the other one, of course, is if hey, they're able to keep Scottie Pippen, and they decide, hey, maybe
Olden Polynice was fine. Come on.
maybe Scottie Pippen.
Scottie Pippen was better than Olden Polynice. I agree. I'm with you.
All right, fair enough. Yeah. Scottie Pippen, Sean Kemp, Gary Payton. Maybe they become the team of the 90s.
I like that team.
That's not a bad team. That team fits together too. That team works. That works really well, actually. George Karl as their coach. I mean, George Karl, I think would have understood how to deploy Scottie Pippen as a defender and as a playmaker. I think that really fits into the George Karl type of coaching. So you got that one, or you got the 79 Sonic is not imploding. But I feel like we've talked about that one a lot. So let's imagine Scottie Pippen, Sean Kemp, and Gary Payton together.
It's a good video.
Yeah. There you go. All right, ultimate Hall of Fame hipster jersey. I got to go with Patrick Ewing because it's the awful, red and green together, those yucky uniforms, and just the whole idea of Patrick Ewing being on the Sonics, and just that's got to go with it. It's the irony.
Yeah, I like a little Jack Sikma.
All right, yeah.
Just to be contrarian, but honestly, it's Ewing. It's like the red, the horrible red Sonics jersey at the time. Sure. It's a red Patrick Ewing Sonics jersey, just the most disgusting, sad jersey you could possibly ever have, but a good hipster jersey for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's two ways you can go, or two major ways you can go with the hipster jersey. You can either go with the great player in embarrassing circumstances, or you can go with the white guy. Those are the two, I think, default, hipster jersey choices. Yeah, so. All right, ultimate cool kid jersey. I'm gonna go with Ray Allen. I think Ray Allen, the Sonics, mid 2000s fashions, not as good as the classic 80s and 90s ones, but still really good. There was a nice return to form. I would say Allen. Actually, you could sub in Durant, Durant Sonics here. I don't know if Durant's too polarizing now because of just all the stuff he's been doing late, but I think you can still carve Ray Allen, Ray Allen was cool then, but Kevin Durant was cool, in 2008 before, everything changed. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's a slick jersey too. There's one of my coworkers has it and he wears it pretty often. And I'm just like, that's a sweet jersey, man. It's because they came back to those old, and that's where my pick is going to be Gary Payton, but not in, people think Gary Payton Sonics. And a lot of you are going to the mid 90s Sonics jerseys. No, those ones.
No.
The classic light green, early 90s Sonics. Gary Payton jerseys,
green and yellow. Yellow. Yeah, those are buttes. Those are among the best jerseys in NBA history, in my opinion. So.
Absolutely. So if I see anybody rocking one of those, that's an immediate high five too. Just you're a cool dude. You know what you're doing. Good on you, sir.
Right. Good on you indeed. So all right, Dennis Johnson one. That'd be nice too. So anyway, the Houston /San Diego Rockets. Everyone loves the San Diego Rockets. We did talk about it recently, how it's cool that the Rockets are
I saw a lot of people getting upset about this, and I had to tell people, no, this is cool. Who cares about the San Diego Rockets? I'm like, that's the point. You should care. That's history. That's not the only thing that is retro is the 90s. Retro also happened before the 90s too. So while we're pretending that the Washington Wizards bringing back their mid 2000s jerseys, the legendary look is back.
Right, it's back.
What?
Love it.
And then people bring that the San Diego Rockets, which is cool as hell. People are like, I don't know, who cares about the San Diego Rockets? So I love them. They're great. They're green. They're weird. They'll like the San Diego Rockets. The Houston Rockets will probably lose in an embarrassing fashion while wearing them. So
we hope so. Yeah. All right. Hall of Famers drafted or acquired, but never played for the French. Bobby Jones. He was drafted by the Houston Rockets, but went to the Denver Rockets of the ABA before they became the Nuggets. So either way, he was going to be a Rocket. I'm sorry. I forgot to mention the list of names of the guys who are on our list already. Yeah, the main part of the show. All right, we got Pat Riley. Pat Riley, drafted by the Rockets, played a couple years there. Rick Adelman. He's on 2 teams. So of course he was later the coach of the Rockets as well. Scottie Pippen, 1999 season, a season of dreams for the Houston Rockets. We got Rick Barry toward the end of his career. We got Dikembe Mutombo. We got Ralph Sampson. We got Charles Barkley, Clyde Drexler, Tracy McGrady, Elvin Hayes, Yao Ming, Moses Malone, Rudy Tomjanovich, Calvin Murphy, and Hakeem Olajuwon. Hakeem Olajuwon has 160 win shares. Calvin Murphy second with 84. So Hakeem by a lot. We have to say for that. And then let's talk about the possible future Hall of Famers. Rich, what do we got?
Yeah, we have possible future Hall of Famers again. Some similar names that we talked about, even with the Sonics and the Thunder. Chris Paul, 100% going to go in, no doubt. James Harden, 99%, he's going to go in, no doubt. Dwight Howard, 99%, he's going in, no doubt. Russell Westbrook, 99% going in, no doubt. Carmelo Anthony, 98% going in, no matter what. Gets a little more interesting here, especially with these Rockets legends. Kyle Lowry, I always forget he was a Houston Rocket, but he definitely was. 86% for Kyle Lowry. I love how high he's gotten up there. And then Joe Johnson, 50%. So apparently they don't respect being 7-time All-Stars in that Hall of Fame enough as they, not like they used to, because Joe Johnson, 50%. So yeah, he's one that I guess I could see people rallying, but I don't know if he's exciting enough for people to rally behind and really start getting up there. But Kyle Lowry, the 86%, I don't know, were you a little surprised for him to be as high as he was? I think he absolutely belongs, but I don't know. I was surprised that he was as much of a no-doubter as 86%.
Yeah, 86% is a little bit higher than I would have expected. Somebody who I think is kind of similar case is Chauncey Billups, who's 84%. So, because you think of like Lowry as like he was, really good player. Wasn't the best player, but was among the best players on a championship team. But it doesn't have like a tremendous amount of red ink. Only he had 1 All-NBA appearance and 6-time All-Star, but he's got that ring and he's got a good reputation, good defensive player, though never on an all-defensive team. So, that's a little higher than I anticipated. But seeing him get in, I would have no problem with that at all. All right, best what-if scenario. I'm going to go with Ralph Sampson stays healthy. We get a Twin Towers challenge in the late 80s to the Lakers dynasty.
I love it. Yeah. I'm right with you. I think it's good. And mine's kind of the same thing as well. And I do want to note that, everybody cries about the Portland Trailblazers and, their bad health and Brandon Roy and Bill Walton and all this sort of stuff and Sam Bowie. Man, look at the Rockets. Ralph Sampson, his body can't, really handle itself. And Yao Ming. Imagine Yao Ming still made it 65.9 win shares as a member of the Houston Rockets, still played a decent amount of his career. If his feet and his body hold up to the NBA, that dude was so good and transformed the game in so many different ways. And the Rockets, God, you just, how much could have been different if he stays healthy? How much of the NBA is different if he just stays remotely healthy? I'm not saying he's got to be in perfect health, but remotely healthy and not like his entire body just completely breaking down, within, 5 years of his playing career, which is what unfortunately happened.
Right. Well, him and McGrady together. That's like both of them with like some semblance of health during those times, because those, when they were really healthy, those teams were really awesome. And but they unfortunately that was that. So that's a good one. That definitely could have changed the face of late 2000s NBA. And Yao being around for into his 30s, and you see what he would have been like as a player during that, obviously would have been really cool. So. All right, ultimate Hall of Fame hipster jersey. What do you got?
Mine is Charles Barkley.
Okay.
And this is one where I would like hate you if you were wearing this, because I hate that jersey.
Right.
And you think it's cool, and people think it's cool, but it's not a cool jersey. It's a bad jersey. So,
right.
But wearing the Charles Barkley would respect it a little bit, because you probably know that it was kind of just a big old joke and whatnot. So, bonus points if you're like a portly fella as well. So,
right. Yeah, you definitely got to be.
You can't be skinny. If you're skinny wearing this jersey, you got to hit the bricks. Yeah, you got to have some girth to you for sure.
Right. Yeah, you might as well just wear a Drexler jersey if you're going to do that.
Right, exactly. If you're going to be a skinny little guy, wear a Clyde Drexler jersey like any respectable skinny little guy. But if you got some girth, myself included, you got to wear the Barkley.
You and I could pull off the Barkley
for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Scottie Pippen for similar reasons, not for the girth so much, but for just the hatred of Charles Barkley and the nonsense of that year, and just the irony of that. I guess I'm going to go with that. I could maybe talk myself into Rick Barry. I don't know, maybe I could talk myself into Rick Barry, but I think that Pippen or Barkley, honestly, I think those are both good choices. So. Cool kid jersey. I am going to go with Moses Malone because Moses Malone was awesome. And, as a young Rocket was, one of his most fun eras as a player. Obviously he was great, especially early on the Sixers, but he, when wins those 3 MVPs, he's a force, and he's a force to be reckoned with. And he is tremendous. I would also consider Ralph Sampson. But Moses is definitely the leader.
Yeah, Moses for sure. I mean, that anybody that rocks a Moses Malone jersey, anyone that's a Moses Malone respecter, is good in my book. So yeah, Moses for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, now we have the Denver Nuggets. All right, Sarunas Marciulionis, Tim Hardaway. Remember that Tim Hardaway played 14 games for the Nuggets?
I don't. You were wrong. That is a lie. That did not happen.
Right.
I'm reading it here. 2001, 2002, 14 games. Okay, I'm still.
All right.
I'm not.
All right.
But okay.
Yeah. Charlie Scott toward the end of his career. Larry Brown in the ABA. Before he coached the team, played for the team. George McGinnis, after got, of course, traded from the Sixers to the Nuggets toward the end of his kind of peak era before he really fell off. Allen Iverson, a couple of years with the fun run and gun Nuggets. Spencer Haywood, his rookie season at the ABA, won the MVP and dominated the league. Dikembe Mutombo, of course, early in his career, famous the '93 upset. Bobby Jones, near the beginning of his career, led the Nuggets to the 76 finals, along with David Thompson, who was next. Alex English, of course, the stalwart of the 80s, most points of any player in the 80s, and Dan Issel, of course, the 70s and 80s Nuggets after playing in the ABA with the Kentucky Colonels. So. No Hall of Famers drafted or acquired, but never played for the Nuggets. Once you're a Nugget for life.
Yeah, right. That's it's very beautiful there. You got some nice mountains and stuff. You think, you know what, this is good.
Why not? Why not?
Why leave? You know? Carmelo, why leave? Go to Big Apple. Got time for that.
They can have the Big Apple. Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, they can spit it out. Yeah. All right. Possible future Hall of Famers. What do you got for me?
We got Carmelo Anthony. Oh, geez. All right. Well, Carmelo Anthony. He's at 98%. He's surely going into the Hall of Fame. Chauncey Billups, 84%. He's a guy that I think in the next couple of years, there's going to be enough of a groundswell to probably get him in. And now that he's, in the coaching ranks, it possibly goes up a little bit more. I know he's had some issues in the last couple of years or whatnot, but it doesn't seem like those are going to affect him that much in terms of, having a job in the NBA or, so I think he's probably going to make his way in the Hall of Fame at some point very, very soon. And then Nikola Jokic, we should note, is currently at 44%, and that will, this is before the season. I'm guessing by the end of this season, it's going to go up, and by the end of next, he's going to be.
He has 2 MVPs. He retires today. He's going to be
He's going to be there.
Yeah.
So just so adding international stuff, he's going to be in there for sure. But yeah, he'll be a no doubter very, very soon here.
Yeah. All right. So I've got a couple what if scenarios, but it's our podcast. We can do what we want. So if the Nuggets keep Bobby Jones instead of trading him for George McGinnis, which made some sense at the time. McGinnis was like an MVP level player. David Thompson stays clean. Okay, we got a big what if there.
A lot of what ifs so far, but all right, keep going.
How good could they have been? They could have. The year they had McGinnis, they were pretty steady like that. That was a team that was in. If things had gone well, could have won a championship or could at least, gone to the finals. They gave Portland a pretty tough time in 77, as I recall. So let's just say that doesn't work out. How does Bobby Jones fit in with Kiki Vandeweghe and Dan Issel on those early 80s teams? A lot of white guys, which, but because if they don't trade Bobby Jones for George McGinnis, then they don't trade George McGinnis later for Alex English, so but yeah, do they actually defend? They're still obviously Bobby Jones. They're going to be crazy running the floor. Maybe they get get better overall, at least in that early 80s period. Obviously, they wouldn't have English in this scenario, but again, with Vandeweghe and Issel, they've got plenty of scoring. So just interesting idea for like what that team, possibly could have been.
Yeah, it'd look a lot different. And you wonder if they even would have kept Bobby Jones that entire time, or if they would have said, hey, look, that we want to be. But you're right that there's enough ball to go around anyway. Like Bobby Jones can just kind of be there to defend and be in the background, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It probably does change them a little bit. I mean, I'm sure they're still a very high powered offense, but maybe they're not, maybe they're not also giving up 130 points a game. Maybe they're also stopping some people every so often as well, which would have been nice. And for your first what if, I think you just end that if David Thompson stays clean. I mean, I think it comes right down to that. It's just like, man, if that guy, can stay clean throughout the decade, like there's no doubt what could have possibly happened with that team. I mean, they were really, really good, right on the cusp, feeling like they were going to be a competitive, especially in a West that, you had the Lakers and a few other good teams, but it was still pretty wide open. I mean, they could have at least maybe squeaked into the finals a couple of times or whatnot. But without him, it just wasn't going to happen.
So 77, Thompson's 22. They have Issel 28 and Bobby Jones is 25 with their first year in the NBA. They make the Western Conference semis and they lose to Portland. And they lose in 6 games. So they gave them pretty good fights. Next year, they win 78. They still have Jones, and they go to the Western Conference Finals and lose to Seattle in 6 games. So. And then 79, after they make the trade, they lose to the Lakers in the first round. So that obviously wasn't a strong playoff year. But the year before, like they were 8th in SRS. The 77 season, they were 2nd in SRS in the league. So definitely had a chance to be an elite team there. But after that, they kind of fall off until 82 when they kind of figure out, we'll just score a lot and that'll be pretty good. So So, anyway.
My what if is Denver beats the Lakers and goes to the 2009 NBA Finals. They blow the doors off the Magic, right?
I think so. I don't know if they blow the doors off them, but they probably. I don't know. That Magic team
was fun and good. Yeah, that would have been a hell of a fun. I mean, I know that the Lakers final and man, I think. I mean, the NBA would have been on suicide watch with the Denver Nuggets Orlando Magic NBA Finals. But with that said, that would have been a hell of a finals. Yeah, that would have been really interesting to see. I mean, Billups leads another team to the finals and maybe a title. Carmelo gets his finals appearance and maybe a ring. Allen Iverson was there for 3 games. Does he get a ring? I don't know.
I don't. Yeah.
What's the? I forget if is there a minimum for when you get a ring, or is it up to the team to decide if this man was a vital enough part of our team to give him a ring? But I don't know if 3 games at the beginning of the year of Allen Iverson was enough for them to give a ring. But it's a really interesting scenario, and they were really close, and that team was really good, and that was the year. I mean, that if they were going to win a title and they were going to make a run, that was that year. Obviously, they lose to the Lakers, but I really would have been interested to see what happens if they make it to the NBA Finals. I think it changes a lot of people's career. It changes Carmelo's career for sure. Billups is probably not at 84%. He's probably, 98%, 99%. He's probably already in. I don't know. It's interesting to think about.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, those were that series. It was a 6-game series, and there was a lot of close games in that series, especially early on. So it's not unthinkable. Probably, that's. We have to see what happens in the situation, but that would be a fun one. I mean, the Nuggets. It's weird. The Nuggets they've had a lot of really good teams, but they've never been to the NBA Finals, of course. So they always just seem to be like well, not always, but a lot of times they've just been like that second or third best team in the West, and usually they're losing to the Lakers or somebody like that. So funny how it goes. Ultimate Hall of Fame hipster jersey. Well. I did. I chose Iverson. I think you chose Iverson as well. Spoiler alert. I like that, but I also, I also sort of like the Tim Hardaway, the ugly,
brown,
ugly brown jerseys. Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, and that's my cool kid jersey. Just to kind of jump ahead, is the Mutombo Browns. I've become a fan of the Browns. I don't know why.
Okay.
Like, I didn't like them in the 90s. Like, I hated them as a kid.
Yeah.
And I think I still hate them, but I also don't hate them. I like them. I don't know. I'm very conflicted about the old brown jerseys, but I don't know. I've become I've in my old age, I've become a little bit more accepting of the Denver Nuggets brown jerseys. It's just hey, we're in Denver. We got all this beautiful architecture around us, or all this beautiful, natural beauty around us. Let's go with brown and like a kind of a red. How about that? It's just incredible that they went from the sunrise, sunset to you know what? Let's just go with brown.
Those I can't get with you on that. I just something about them is just I guess it's
blue,
that color.
It's like the blue and the brown too.
Yeah,
it's like kind of gold, but it's like a bad looking gold, so it just looks like so. They're rough. I admit they're rough.
It's just it's just ugly. I can't really speak to exactly why, because it's at least it's not like 100 different things going on. Like it's not. But it's like
one of the worst color schemes of all time. It's just drab and just
It's not busy, but it's boring. Boring in the wrong way. When they went from like really colorful, like the Nuggets 80s uniforms would have been by far the best 90s uniforms of any team, because they totally fit that, but for whatever reason they were
when everybody else was like, we need to add more shit to our jerseys, the Nuggets are like, not gold, red, and blue, baby.
We're just gonna have shit jerseys,
We're just gonna make our jerseys look like shit. So, like literally,
right. So, all right, my cool kid jersey. I would say David Thompson, but honestly, I really think it needs to be a rainbow jersey, so I'm gonna go with Alex English.
You got the Mutombo. Mutombo had the rainbows too. You can throw a Mutombo.
He did. Yeah, that's true. He briefly did have the. I think he's better known for the other ones though. So I gotta go with English, even though English isn't like the most colorful player ever, but I think that's fun. I do love the baby blues. I think those are really underrated jerseys of the the early 2000s. Like that's one of the better looking jerseys. You could even talk me into an Iverson cool kid jersey instead of being a hipster jersey, because Iverson actually was pretty good for the Nuggets.
Oh yeah, he was real good. I think what always threw me off about those Nuggets baby blues is that those jerseys in those days were like that silky, like.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if you take today's jerseys, which are a little bit more flat and a little bit more, and make them that color, like I think for sure they would pop. But they were just they glistened so much in the because the jerseys were so, I don't know I don't know the material, I don't know but you know what I mean? They were like silky and very shiny or whatever. Whereas now they seem to be a little bit more of a matte, a little bit more of a flat color. I think those blues in a flat color would look really, really slick right now.
Yeah, a little too baggy too was the just because
as was the fashion at the time, yes.
Right, as it was, yes. So, I wonder if anyone will ever if that will ever have like an irony, like a 2000s night, and they'll have everybody wear big baggy jerseys.
It's so weird. You go back and you watch games of that era,
like a 2003 game,
and you're like, what the hell are these men wearing? Why are they wearing such large clothes? Like, what are they doing? So
exactly,
like we did in the 90s when we were like, they're wearing short shorts now. I'm like, what are they? Why are they wearing a trash bag? Like, what are they doing? That jersey is 7 sizes too big. What? Why? What are you doing? But at the time, it was what you did. So
exactly. Yeah. All right, Indiana Pacers. You want to list off the Pacers we got?
Yeah, let's do this. We have Tim Hardaway. Oh man, he was on the page. What? 10 games. Wow, the late stage Tim Hardaway career. Good God.
I know.
Gus Johnson, Adrian Dantley. Only 23 games of Adrian Dantley. He also bounced around a little bit. Alex English. Hey, Alex English bounced around a little bit too. So we'll talk about him. Chris Mullen, George McGinnis, Mel Daniels, Roger Brown, and Reggie Miller. I am kind of blown away by how many not like, you have Reggie, who's pseudo contemporary and obviously retired in 2005. Tim Hardaway, who's in 2003. Right. And then pretty much everybody else is like 70s and like very early. I guess Chris Mullen being the exception to that, but everybody else is like 70s or very, very, very early 80s. Kind of surprising, but then it is the Pacers. And it's like, well, yeah, you think about it. You're like, oh yeah, who else have they had? We're going to talk about two guys here in a little bit, but other than that, it's like, well, yeah, they haven't really had, Roy Hibbert ain't walking into the Hall of Fame anytime soon. No. Jeff Foster isn't going. So I guess,
No? Are you sure?
Well, as far as I know, he's not on this list of future Hall of Famers. So maybe you got your facts wrong, but
might have. Yeah. Occasional factual error can happen. All right. Hall of Famers drafted, required, but never played for the franchise. Yeah, one big one, Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah.
77%. Let's pump that because let's discuss him when we talk about the Spurs. But that's a little bit of a low number to me as far as I would think. Anyway, possible future Hall of Famers. We got Paul George at 84%. And just for the reference, Jermaine O'Neal is at 32%. He's kind of the only guy from the, post, other than Paul George from the post, Miller. I know he and Miller overlapped a bit, but from that era, afterward that I would kind of consider for Hall of Fame, so.
Yeah. And so it's like, there's not a whole lot of them, Pacers in the Hall of Fame right now. And it's not like, it's not gonna be a lot in a while either. So it's not, there's not a bunch banging on the door there. So
no, it's gonna be a while before there's anybody who I think is gonna be likely to have that. So, all right, best what if scenario. Gonna go with drafting Larry Bird in 1978. The Pacers that had said they were going to do that were very close to doing that, but chickened out. But let's say, they draft Larry Bird. They keep Alex English, and then suddenly we've got Bird and English. You got Johnny Davis, who is a really good guard. You got Mickey Johnson, who's a good swingman. You got Billy Knight, who's a good scorer. And you got James Edwards, who was a good young big. So that's that's not a championship team probably, but that's still like that's a 45 to 50 win team that could, that was young enough that could still have been, a force over the next few years. Now, how well they would manage that team and how everything would work out is an open question, but that it obviously would not have been as good of an outcome as Larry Bird had in his career with the Celtics, but it could have been a good outcome. And those teams, feel like, and that obviously would have transformed basketball for the Pacers and for Indiana as well. So I do wonder how big of a star Bird is if he's not in Boston or like New York or something. If he's not in like one of those markets,
right. It's weird, but it's like the other thing too is he would have been such a phenomenon there, and it's a hometown guy, and he's in Indiana. Right. Hometown obviously he's from very like 2 hours away or whatever, but still it's Indiana. It's hey, look, there's not a whole lot else in Indiana, so I think the folks of Indianapolis would accept a man from French Lick as one of their own for sure.
Probably,
I think your point is it does stand that is he as much of a phenomenon? But I think he is so good that he does become a phenomenon no matter what. And I do think that, him going to the legacy franchise of Boston does help, but I do think you maybe create a new legacy franchise with Indiana if he's there and stays around and wins titles and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I really do think that it would have been a phenomenon still.
Like Jordan with the Bulls. Obviously, the Bulls were not a legacy.
The Bulls were absolutely nothing. Yeah, now they're considered one of the top franchise in the league when before they were nothing. They were absolutely nothing. Yeah. So I think you get the same thing with the Pacers in a lot of ways. And that's really, that's got to be that's the only. What if I can, other than the Malice in the Palace,
Yeah, right. Doesn't
other
happen.
than that, but that doesn't even involve any of these people that were, Reggie Miller was there telling people, please stop. What are we doing?
Right.
Guys, I don't really want to get in a fight. I'm much too old to be getting in fights, and I didn't really want to get in fights when I was younger either. So, I don't want to do this. Other than that, there's really, Bird being in Indiana, joining that team and what they could have done, that's the biggest what if for this franchise for sure.
Sure. All right, ultimate Hall of Fame hipster jersey. Gonna go with either Alex English or maybe Chris Mullin. You have to be white and you have to be willing to shave your head.
Right, you have to look like you're from American history. You have to look like an extra from American history X, and then
exactly,
and then you're good to go.
Right.
It's probably the Mullin. You're right. That's probably the one.
Yeah.
I'd go with a Reggie Miller just to be different, but it's probably Mullin. Yeah, the Mullin Pacers jersey is pretty fun.
So are you going with Miller because it's it's weird because basically the best, there's only 9 Hall of Famers for the Pacers. McGinnis, Daniels, Brown, and Miller are all obviously really good and really important players in history. And then you got English and Mullin, who are kind of like your names, who are kind of ironic because they didn't do that much for the franchise. And then Dantley could fit that too, I guess. And then Gus Johnson and Hardaway, who wouldn't really necessarily, mean that much. Hardaway obviously would, but that would be even more obscure than Hardaway Nuggets, I feel like. So
yeah, that'd be a real deep cut. Yeah, the rest of these guys, unfortunately, they all fit in a cool kid, I think, because my next answer is going to be like the ultimate cool kid jersey is Roger Brown. Because if I'm like walking by and you're wearing a Roger Brown Indiana Pacers jersey, I'm going to be like, you listen to my show, like let's talk. Like
probably, yeah.
If you don't listen to my show, I got a show for you, pal. Like let's talk about over because you're cool. And if you're wearing a Mel Daniels, exact same scenario. If you're wearing a George McGinnis, exact same. Like all the rest of those guys are like that dude rocks. Like why he's got a George McGinnis Pacers jersey. But I was kind of, by default, it's like, there's not many other guys that would be truly hipster. So that's why I went with Miller. So an uninspired pick indeed.
No, not at all.
No, it was. Trust me, it was.
I like the reasons behind it though, Rich. You explained yourself well. So you showed your work, so I'm going to give you credit for the answer.
Thanks.
All right. And by similar measure, I'm going to go with George McGinnis because for most of the reasons that Roger Brown is cool, George McGinnis was cool. So, yeah. All right. The San Antonio Spurs. So we've got Moses Malone, 17 games in his final season, including that full court shot he hit. Dominic Wilkins, Maurice Cheeks, Louis Dampier, George Karl, and as a coach, but played some rough and tumble years with the Spurs.
George, a little furious in San Antonio.
Yeah. Cliff Hagan, another furious guy. Dennis Rodman, speaking of furious.
A lot of fury. A lot of fury
there, yeah. Artis Gilmore, not so much fury. Manu Ginobili, George Gervin, David Robinson, and Tim Duncan. So good list there.
Not bad at all.
Yeah, no Hall of Famers that were drafted or acquired but never played for the Spurs. So, and our possible future Hall of Famers, we got Tony Parker, 94%, Pau Gasol, 93%, Kawhi Leonard, 78%. So, and LaMarcus Aldridge, 51%. So, Kawhi Leonard, 78%. That one seems weird to me.
It does. Yeah, I think that's just a scenario of like this is just an algorithm or something taking in all of his numbers, his career stats, and all that stuff, and saying, yeah, here's what this guy is. But like, if you had to get down and vote on it, like he's a Hall of Fame. You know what I mean? Like everyone's going to vote him a Hall of Fame. It doesn't matter that he missed an entire season. It doesn't matter that he's still missing seasons. I guess whatever's going on right now with him. It doesn't matter that he took like half the season in Toronto. It's because he has a finals run with the San Antonio Spurs. He has a finals win with the San Antonio Spurs. He has a finals run with the Toronto Raptors. He has a finals win with the Toronto Raptors. Like he's in for sure. It's just like I get why the Hall of Fame monitor might look at him and go like, yeah, no, this guy's not, just because the counting stats are just probably not there at all compared to other Hall of Famers, but he's absolutely there.
Hi. Close your eyes. It's time to discover what starting and growing your own business feels like. Whether your business is bed sheets or skincare or jewelry, Shopify's with you every step of the way. Now, open your eyes. Feel ready to start and grow your business? With Shopify, you'll get the tools you need to nurture your growing business and feel the same satisfaction as listening to this ad. This is Possibility, powered by Shopify. Simply start selling with Shopify today and join the commerce platform powering millions of businesses worldwide. Start selling online today. Sign up for a free trial at shopify.com/free22. Shopify.com/free22.
Get ready, Ohio. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, is coming to the Buckeye State. And to kick things off, you can get started with $100 in free bets as an early sign-up bonus. Plus, when you sign up today with promo code OhioSB, you'll be all set for when FanDuel goes live in Ohio. Then you can bet on all your favorite teams and all your favorite sports with $100 in free bets. Just download FanDuel's top-rated sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Ohio, this is your chance to get in on the action. Join today with promo code OhioSB. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 plus and present in Ohio. Bonus issued in non-withdrawable free bets that expire 7 days after FanDuel accepts its first real money sports wager in Ohio on 1/1/23. Unique user identity verification required. Offer ends on the go-live date. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Yeah. Yeah, no question. First ballot, almost certainly. I mean, I think that's not really even a question. Yeah, 2-time Finals MVP, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, 5-time All NBA. And of course, 75th anniversary team. So yeah, that definitely will be there. All right, yeah. So best what if scenario. So maybe if they had been able to get artists for a year or two earlier than 83, when the Lakers weren't quite as strong, maybe that's kind of the best option that I can think of. And that's really not necessarily, they're not a great year for that, to be honest. I mean, if you, kind of going back to the Spurs, if you look at like 82 or, 81, obviously the Lakers don't go there. I'm pulling it up right now because, so 81 probably would have been their best option because they were 52-30, 7th in the league in SRS. They lose in 7 games in the conference semis to the Rockets. Of course, the Rockets that year only won 40 games and made the finals. So, they have, if they have Gilmore at that point, maybe they're able to, fend off. I mean, obviously Gilmore and Moses Malone is quite the battle. So that probably would have been interesting. 82, they're pretty strong too. They get swept by the Lakers that year. So of course Gilmore would have made a difference. I'm not sure if it would have meant they won that series, but those are probably the 2 years where they would have been the best opportunity.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm kind of it's that 79 team for sure. I mean, it's the Spurs. There's not a whole lot of what ifs because pretty much everything in their history pretty much went exactly to plan, like perfectly.
Yeah.
In most ways, it's that 79 team though. They were up 3-1 in that series. They lost Game 7 by just 2 points, and who knows, if they win that title, or at least getting to that finals, it solidifies George Gervin's career. Doug Moe's career, I think it gets, it's thought of a different way. It puts them on the map way, way, way before 1999 as well, just making those finals. So yeah, it's definitely that. It's that, because it'd be a long, I mean, it would obviously, they pop up, again in the 90s as being like a good team. And we always talked about them as like, people don't really respect how good they were for as long as they were, but they weren't good enough to ever really make a substantial run. So people do kind of think like, okay, well, Tim Duncan came to town and now it's like, here we go and we're ready to go. And yeah, they were ready to go win titles, but it was a very competitive team through all of David Robinson's years and really through almost its entire history. Like these last few years are the only years that they haven't been like truly good in some way.
Yeah.
And they have just an insane streak of like making the playoffs and winning over 40 games and that sort of stuff, and a lot of that's getting broken now. But yeah, that 79 team like making a real run changes a lot of that franchise's history, I think.
Yeah, because they were first in the league that year in SRS. They've got Gervin, they've got Larry Kennedy, who's still really good. They've got James Silas, and and Billy Paul, who's really good big men still at the time, pretty good anyway, solid. And they beat the Sixers in the semifinals, and they're in the East at this point. This is right before the realignment. Yeah, they blow that 3-1 lead to the Bullets. So yeah, that definitely would have changed some things. Ultimate hipster jersey, gonna go, well, 2 options here. Dennis Rodman's my choice, but if you're a certain type of hipster and maybe not a hipster that I care for, you might go with George Karl.
A little furious George San Antonio Spurs jersey.
Right.
Yeah. I'm going Rodman. That's a pretty slick jersey too. The Spurs have just like the coolest jerseys ever. So pretty much any Spurs jersey you wear is going to be cool. So picking out like the hipster one or whatever was pretty tough. But that's why my cool kid jersey is just a nice, crisp, possibly ironed David Robinson number 50 jersey.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just like looks perfect, like Navy issued David Robinson jersey. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go with a slightly crumpled Manu Ginobili.
Right. Yes, because Ginobili would totally just put on a jersey that he found in the bottom of a bag. It's like, did you wear this yesterday? Maybe. Yeah, whatever. So.
Whatever. So yes, I'm gonna go with Ginobili. All right. The New York, New Jersey, Brooklyn Nets. 14 players. We got Mel Daniels, played 11 games, got 0 win shares in the NBA, his only NBA career. The rest of it was, of course, in the ABA. We got Bob McAdoo with 10 games in 1981. Dikembe Mutombo, 24 games in 2003, including a finals appearance. Alonzo Mourning, 30 games, try for his attempted comeback before he went back to the Heat. Maurice Cheeks, Phil Jackson toward the end of his career, Tiny Archibald in the 77 season, where the ill-fated attempt to pair him with Dr. J before Dr. J jumped ship. Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce, of course. That's a great experiment. Bernard King toward he had a couple actually, beginning and end of his career spent with the Nets. Drazen Petrovic, of course. Rick Barry in the ABA. Julius Erving, of course, 2 championships in the ABA. And Jason Kidd, the leader of the Nets' best NBA run through the mid 2000s. So, interesting list, of course.
Yeah, it's a team that's been around a pretty long time and does not. I mean, it makes sense that Jason Kidd's the best win shares guy, but it's also like, man, that doesn't feel like that long that he wasn't.
Right.
And he was. I mean, he was there for 6-7 years, but it feels like it should be longer. It should be like somebody else should have stayed with the Nets for a little bit longer. But as we're seeing. The Nets are not always the most stable franchise, and they have never really been a super stable franchise, and that is carrying on until into the Brooklyn days for them as well.
Right.
So
worth noting, Julius Erving almost 52 win shares in 252 games. Jason Kidd 56.6 in 506 games.
Yeah,
so
right,
hit double the games. Anyway, so. All right, possible future, first, the Hall of Famers drafted or acquired but never played for the franchise. Dwight Howard in the 2018 offseason. Forgot completely about this.
Yeah.
Went from Charlotte to Brooklyn to Washington. So
yeah, this was in the nobody really wants Dwight Howard. Like,
yeah,
we're going to trade for him. And then every team is like, all right, maybe he won't be Dwight Howard. Then he shows up and he's definitely Dwight Howard. And they go, all right, well, that was fun. He was Dwight Howard. We should get rid of him. And then they do. So
this happened twice before, the 2 different seasons before he went to the Lakers and kind of revived his reputation, at least somewhat. So
now he's doing it in the Taiwanese league. So good for him. I think he just signed there last night.
Last nice.
Night. He is in the the T1 league in Taiwan. Yeah, he's playing for the Taiwan. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. So the Leopards. They play. They're
Leopards,
Leopards, yes.
I love that. Yeah, Taiwan's going to get a little more gassy. So.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to dominate that league, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Which is probably, that's a pretty good gig. He's probably getting paid a lot of money. And he's going to have like 45 points. And if he like embraces it and just decides, whatever, just do it. He's going to average a ton of points. He's so big. He's so giant.
He's very big.
Yeah, and he's not like, no offense to the T1 Taiwan league, but I don't know that it's got the talent of, it's not like he's going to, Eurobasket or something like that, or Spain or something like that. No, he's playing in Taiwan. I think he might do all right in Taiwan. So.
Not to disparage our Taiwanese listeners. I'm
sure, no. I apologize if you're a big T1 league, or if you are the T1 league, please sponsor us. We'd love to have you. We'd love to become
absolutely.
huge fans of the T1 league. For sure.
We will talk so many good things about the T1 league.
Absolutely.
We absolutely. So. All right, we want to talk about the possible future Hall of Famers.
Yeah, and now, see, they're going to add some here. Some of these are frauds, but they're going to add some for sure.
All right, yeah.
Kevin Durant, he won't be a fraud if he goes in as when we discuss his Nets career.
Sure. It's been mixed, but in terms of how he's performed on the court, it's been very good.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. James Harden, okay, that.
Right.
He played there for like 10 games, and then he was like, this kind of sucks. I'm going to get fat again and get traded. And then he did, and then that worked. So, yeah, that's kind of a fraud. Vince Carter, that's not a fraud. He had a very good Nets run. It wasn't as star-studded as his Toronto Raptors run, but he had a very good run there. Kyrie Irving, I'm going to move on. Blake Griffin. Blake Griffin, 55% for Blake Griffin. There's a lot of frauds coming up now, so I'm just going to rapid fire fraud these ones.
Right.
LaMarcus Aldridge, 51%. Joe Johnson, 50%. That's not a fraud. Joe Johnson had a pretty nice career as a net. Darren Williams, 9.4. So I don't think a groundswell is going to happen for Darren Williams. Buck Williams at 7.9. And Brooke Lopez at 0.2. So Brooke's going to have to be gobble up some awards here in the next couple of years, which I don't think is going to happen. But so I don't know. Yeah, of those, like Kevin Durant, Vince Carter, and Joe Johnson are all like legit guys, and the rest of those dudes are just
legit Nets in terms of
in terms of like those guys. Like if when we include that, when we do this show in 15 years or whatever, like those guys, like those guys were Nets, and then we're gonna like laugh at like James Harden. You know what I mean? We're like, James Harden was there.
James Harden, Yeah. By the way, Kyrie Irving, not that I want to talk about him a lot, 84%.
There you go. Yeah.
That'll be interesting to see how that goes, but that's a few years away anyway. So, all right. Best what if scenario. I'm going to go with Doc and Tiny being on the Nets in 77. You get four of the rotation players from the 76 ABA champ. How good would the 77 Nets have been, and would they have been a finals contender and competed with the Blazers and had a true ABA versus NBA championship finals? That certainly would have been a very interesting situation. So.
Mine is just Drazen does get in that car accident. And
right.
that's just I don't know if they would have been good or even great even, but they would have been a lot of fun. And we would have been spared, almost 2 decades of them not mattering at all, because it felt like they were on the precipice of mattering, and then that happened, and then they didn't matter again for a very, very long time.
Yeah, that 93 team was fun. They Derek Coleman. I mean, not that they were in Kenny Anderson. I mean, again, maybe not great, but
that's like a 45 to 50 win team that maybe makes a conference final or two or something.
And they're young, they grow together. Maybe that's a team. Maybe Coleman and Anderson, aren't journeymen as much. Maybe they stay with the Nets. And I don't know. Maybe they trade away. Who knows? I mean, those guys.
It is the Nets, and it is the Nets, and it is those guys. So yeah, it's possible. But instead they just became completely irrelevant for a decade almost, really, until obviously Jason Kidd comes to town and that sort of stuff. Otherwise, they pretty much do not matter at all in the 90s.
Yeah. All right. Ultimate Hall of Fame hipster jersey. I'm going to go with Tiny Archibald. I like it. You could also maybe go with KG or Pierce, but I don't know. Maybe that's too soon. I don't know. That's not as fun.
Yeah, I think like Jason Kidd, but there's not a lot of good ones here. There's a lot of cool guy jerseys on the Nets history. There's not a whole lot of like hipster ones. Probably Jason Kidd. So
fair enough. All right. I'm gonna ultimate cool kid jersey. Gonna go with Drazen.
It's Drazen for sure. Yeah.
You could talk me into Burger King maybe, but anyway, we'll go with Drazen. All right. The Phoenix Suns. All right. We got Pat Riley toward the end of his career. He was on that 76 finals team. Gus Johnson, Shaquille O'Neal, the Shaquille O'Neal Suns here.
Big cactus.
Yeah. Gail Goodrich, Charlie Scott, Grant Hill, a nice revival toward the end of his career. Dennis Johnson, of course, before he went to the Celtics. Connie Hawkins was, of course, came to the NBA with the Suns, had a few good years there. Jason Kidd earlier on in his career before he comes to the Nets. Charles Barkley, of course, maybe the most famous period of his career, taking them to the 93 finals. Paul Westphal leading them to the 76 finals and having quite the run there. And then, of course, Steve Nash, 97 through 2012, wins 2 MVPs, helps redefine offense in the NBA. Pretty good player. So. All right. Drafted or acquired, but never played for the franchise. Gonna go with there are actually 3. There's George Gervin, there is Ben Wallace, and there is potentially Rajon Rondo. You said 60%. Talked about him a lot here because he played for a hell of a lot of teams. So, all right. Possible future Hall of Famers. Some familiar names here.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris Paul. 100% for him. Vince Carter, 95%. Sean Marion, 75%. Amari Stoudemire, 73%. And Joe Johnson, 50%. It does feel like, especially Amari and Marion, they're not in now, but I definitely feel like, they're going to slowly grow, and those guys will both probably be in. And then obviously Chris Paul and Vince Carter, no doubters. And Joe Johnson, I don't know, that'll be an interesting case to see what happens with him, but it does feel like Phoenix is going to add a few more here in the next couple of years.
Yes. All right. What if scenario? What do you got for me?
All right. So my one is, to me, the most obvious is Robert Horry doesn't hip check Steve Nash and start the fight. That kind of gets, I don't know. I think we do miss out. I don't know, because that team, it's like, it is the 7 seconds or less Suns. It's like kind of the late stages of that, but they were really competitive at that time and they were really good. And I do think that we possibly missed out on an all-time narrative team, them kind of changing the game a little bit, and maybe, maybe the NBA changes a little bit, before, actually, can I retroactively change it halfway through? I'm changing it. Yeah. We missed out on the all-time narrative team of all time, the 42-40 1976 Phoenix Suns. How about that? They beat the Sonics. Good. If they beat the Sonics in 6 games, they beat the powerhouse defending champion Warriors in 7 games. they get to the NBA Finals, and then they topple the mighty Celtics to win the title despite being barely over 500.
Right.
They lost in 6 games. That almost happened. So that 76 you talked about, Pat Riley on that team, that is it, because that is the all-time, like, hey, you know what? It's all about what you do in the playoffs. It's all about doing it. I mean, that's an all-time narrative of 42-40 wins, and they just go through hell to get to the finals and win it. And they were very close to doing it. So I think that's a big what if. I mean, yeah, the hip check of Nash is a big one too. But yeah, I think that 76 team is just a little bit more.
Yeah, no, that's good. I'm gonna go with Robert Sarver not being such a cheap ass and squandering things like Rajon Rondo, just like trading him away for cash and not getting anything out of that. Letting Joe Johnson go despite they could have paid him and they could have kept that team more together, or they made another they traded Kurt Thomas they traded away a couple draft picks to get rid of Kurt Thomas, like things like that. Had they been like a decently run team, I mean they had good management and good coaching. I'm not saying they were like horrible, but if they had a decent owner during that time, I think they would have had more tools to have a chance to win a championship.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just Sarver being not a bad owner and a bad dude probably changes a lot of this franchise's history.
Well, I mean, yeah, the fact that he was a terrible dude is obviously much worse for the people in that situation had to endure.
Oh, for sure. Oh, yeah, no doubt.
But yeah.
Being a horrific owner too, and needling in his team's operations, for
exactly
basketball wise, definitely include that here.
Yep. All right, Ultimate Hall of Fame hipster jersey. I'm gonna go with Nash, but late 90s Nash, not, the first run in the late 90s. Special extra bonus for blonde frosted tips.
Oh, you got to have the frosted tips. Yeah. You got to have the frosted tips. Mine is the big cactus Shaq jerseys. Just
there you go.
Pure hilarity. Yeah. Again, like the Barkley thing, you also have to be girthy. You cannot be a thin man. You must have some girth to you to be wearing the big cactus Shaq.
You and I could pull that off. Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, Ultimate Hall of Fame cool kid jersey, going with Connie Hawkins. I love those 70s and 80s Suns uniforms. Obviously, Hawkins, one of the great, he was a great player for when he played, but obviously one of the great what if stories in NBA history. Just that's definitely a fun one. If I see a Connie Hawkins jersey, I'm like, oh yeah, I know this. I know where this guy's coming from.
Yeah, talking to a real one. Yeah, the Paul Westfall's the same one for me too. It's like, all right, let's talk, baby. It's you respect your NBA history, so I like that one for sure.
Yep. All right, the Milwaukee Bucks. All right, we've got
a lot of guys.
We got 16 guys. Adrian Dantley,
of course.
10 games
Bucks
toward
legend
the end.
Adrian Dantley. Come on,
Tiny Archibald, end of his career. Guy Rogers had a couple solid years with the Bucks. Dave Cowens, of course, with that comeback in '83. Gary Payton at 28 games. We've talked about that many times. Of course, Gary Payton. Wayne Embry, before he became an executive with the team, he played with the team. Alex English, very early on in his career, bounced around a bit before settling in with the Nuggets. Moses Malone, 92, 93, after the Washington years, went to the Bucks. Tony Kukoc, Bob Lanier, we discussed him fairly recently. Jack Sikma toward the end of his career. Oscar Robertson, of course, coming from the Royals and leading the team to a championship. Ray Allen, Bob Dandridge, Sidney Moncrief, and, of course, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Unfortunately, two very good Hall of Famers they drafted and acquired but never played for them.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Dirk Nowitzki, that would have been
right.
Pretty good in Milwaukee. That would have worked out pretty well. And then also Julius Erving.
Julius Erving, yes.
Yeah, those would have worked out pretty good for them.
That might have worked out, yeah. That, in fact, we'll talk a little bit more about that. All right. Possible future Hall of Famers. Giannis Antetokounmpo is at 87%, but obviously he's definitely getting in, no question. Pau Gasol, 93%. He had 3 games with the
I remember
the Bucks.
Yeah.
So by the way, okay, Drew Holiday is at 0.3%, which is worse than Jeff Teague.
Oh, what? Excuse me?
Yeah,
Jeff Teague. Yeah, no.
Right.
No,
yeah.
No. That can't be possible.
Yeah, I don't
we have to change that. That has to change. The algorithm, the folks at Basketball Reference, if you are listening, I think you guys do listen, you got to just change the whole algorithm has to change. Like the whole
something's going on there.
Like just break it all down, take it off the site for a little while and rebuild it, because that cannot be. That just cannot be.
All right. Well, literally everything we've said at this podcast
is all wrong. Yeah, it's all going to be outdated when they rerun they're going to say, "Oh shit, yeah, that's right. We don't have, we're going to find a fatal flaw in the code and go, oh crap, yeah, that's why."
Yeah.
And then Drew Holiday will get to 1.9%, and then it'll be like, "Oh, thank God, all right, phew," because but he's got to be more than Jeff Teague. Come on.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Chris Middleton, 1.7%. So, all right. Best what if scenario. I am going to go with Julius Erving, of course, after a year in the ABA, tried to defect to the NBA and tried to defect with the Hawks. But the Bucks owned his draft rights, so and then he didn't want to play for the Bucks, so he ended up, working out to go back. Did play for another year in Virginia. Let's just say, hey, he wanted to play with the Bucks. He would have obviously been playing with Kareem and would have playing with Oscar Robertson. That was actually kind of what he didn't want to do, because he didn't think like, oh, I'm going to be able to show myself off as an individual, given that situation. I don't know. I think that they probably would have figured out that Julius Erving was pretty great and still been able to highlight it. But I can understand thinking of what he had. But yeah, that team being together, it feels like a team that wins several championships. A dynasty of at least part of the 70s. Maybe eventually, maybe Kareem still decides, Milwaukee isn't for me. Maybe Julius, who was known for wanting to be in better situations, maybe he decides that too. But for a while, at least, they could have been even more successful than they already were, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, that just seems like I'm sure there's something that would have related in or resulted in it not working or whatever. But God, it's just like you name those names, you're like, man, it would have been fun at least, even if it didn't work, and even if everybody hated each other, something like that, it would have been really cool. But yeah, that's an all-timer there. My what if is just quite literally the 80s. Just like make a finals during the 80s, beat the Celtics, beat the 76ers once, make it to one finals in the 80s. That's all I'm asking. Just one. I mean, it's just they're so, you look at that team and you're like, God, that's such a talented team, and there's so many good players on that team, and that's and they're making, like, they're winning a lot of games, and they're well coached, and they play well, and it's just, they can never beat the Sixers, they can never beat the Celtics, they just can never get over the hump. And then finally when those teams go away, Detroit comes, and then that's kind of the end of the road for them as well. And then obviously they'd be in an abyss for another decade after that. But yeah, just quite literally the 80s. Just like make a finals sometime in the 80s. It's a what if, good chance to possibly win a finals too, if they do make it, but no, they never did. So
yeah. All right. So ultimate Hall of Fame hipster jersey, I'm gonna go with Gary Payton.
Yeah, I'm going Tony Kukoc. I've won Kukoc with a lot of these. Kukoc seems to just work for this, but essentially I was just trying to fill in an answer, because we all know the ultimate cool kid jersey is the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Sure.
Yeah, well, okay, so I'm looking at a bit of a flaw in this. I mean, the 70s Bucks jerseys are cool, but the 80s ones are really stout, and we don't have the hipster or the cool kid. We don't have the 80s jerseys represented either in hipster or cool kid, and I feel like that's a mistake somewhere. But like you could either have Sigma or you could have Moncrief. I guess Dandridge did play a little bit in the 80s when they had those uniforms, so maybe you go with the Dandridge early 80s. You cover both your bases there. Mm-hmm. I could talk myself into that. What were the 93? Was Moses? Did Moses ever wear the new jerseys, or did they? Let me look that up. If Moses,
do it quick. I don't remember.
I'll check the uniform database, and why don't you lead us into the Portland Trailblazers?
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, and you can come in with an update on the Bucks here. So let's do the Portland Trailblazers. Believe it or not, despite all of that franchise history and all the success they've had, 7 Hall of Famers. You have Lenny Wilkens, Drazen Petrovic, Rick Adelman, Scottie Pippen, Bill Walton, Arvydas Sabonis, and Clyde Drexler. That is the entire list. And man, that is a very strange list, because essentially you're talking Clyde Drexler, Sabonis, and Walton as guys that you would think of as like the number one team for those guys are the Blazers. Obviously, Drazen starts his career there, doesn't last very long. Scottie Pippen, has that brief period there. Rick Edelman, Lenny Wilkins, just, footnotes in their history there. So yeah, for all the history that Portland has had, three guys that you could legitimately say, their entire careers or their careers are defined by their Portland Trailblazers run. And Bill Walton, obviously all the injuries, he plays there for only a couple of years. And same with Sabonis. I mean, Sabonis he's there about 8 or 9 years or whatever, but ultimately they're both careers that are like, man, what if, careers in of themselves, which we'll talk about here in a bit. So Clyde Drexler's pretty much the only guy that's like the legit, like, yeah, that guy was good, played for the franchise, played well, helped them win, all that sort of stuff, and is a surefire Hall of Famer. But yeah, I'm just kind of surprised there's not many more Blazers, but it does feel like we're going to get a few more here in the very, very near future. So
I concur. So the Bucks, the traditional 80s jerseys were 86 through 93, which means Moses Malone wore them. The Bob Dandridge ones that he wore, he would have worn the version with red lettering and trim, which aren't bad, but I like the full green ones better. So I'm going to change my answer to Moses Malone, Milwaukee Bucks.
Okay, yeah, that's a good play there.
All right, so yeah, Hall of Famers drafted or acquired but never played for the Blazers: Moses Malone and Pau Gasol, who was going to play there toward the end of his career, and then decided, maybe I'm not going to do that, and decided to retire. But so that was interesting. Possible future Hall of Famers: we got Carmelo Anthony, 98%, Damian Lillard, 91%, and LaMarcus Aldridge again, 51%. So Damian Lillard, I think, is obviously a slam dunk. We've already talked about Carmelo, but any other thoughts on the Hall of Famers?
No, yeah, that's the guys we've all talked about, and Lillard is going to moonwalk in there when the time comes.
Sure. So, because we know that Damian Lillard likes to moonwalk, so makes sense. Yeah, obviously. All right, we both agree. Or no, I'm sorry, we don't both agree. The ultimate Hall of Fame jersey.
I don't agree.
I'm kidding. Or I'm sorry, I'm skipping ahead. Best what if scenario. What do you got?
My what if Bill Walton, his feet just work, they don't fall apart.
All right.
The Portland Trailblazers doctors know how to repair his feet. That would have been nice too. And then just getting Sabonis in the 80s as opposed to getting him in 1996. I mean, I just recently, a couple weeks ago, was stumbled upon a YouTube video of Sabonis playing Team America in, I think it was 88. I want to say maybe it was 84. It doesn't matter. He was great. I mean, it's just incredible. And you're like, oh my God, like you look at that guy and you just think of what he could have done. But, he comes into the NBA, in 1996 and he plays well. I mean, he is still pretty good and he does play well, but yeah, he's nowhere near, he's a completely different player by that time as well. And yeah, for him to still be, second all time in win shares among, Portland Trailblazers Hall of Famers in history speaks to just how good he was even, in his older days. But yeah, him getting there in the 80s is just awesome.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Yeah, mine was figuring out hey, what if the early 90s Blazers had kind of figured out what they had with Drazen Petrovic? And granted, they were such a deep team that maybe he needs some time to grow into the NBA anyway. And so maybe it wouldn't, giving him the extra minutes would have taken away from other guys. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's just, immediately after they trade him, he basically becomes a, all-star, close to all NBA level player. So seems like they could have used him, but maybe it wouldn't have worked out anyway. But it's definitely one that especially like 91, which they did not make the finals, but they came very close. He's buried on the bench. He's playing 7.4 minutes a game. He's like behind like Danny Ainge. Now, like Danny Ainge was good still and valuable for that team, so that it's not crazy, but it's just like it seems like they could have maximized him a little bit.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I think everybody kind of agrees with that too. They had no idea what they had in that guy.
Right. All right. Ultimate Hall of Fame. I'm going to go with Drazen. I think that's a good one. That's a nice tribute for him.
Yeah. I'm going to go with the Scottie Pippen. You got to be kind of sad while you're wearing it too, and just kind of like depressed. And it's like, hey, what's wrong? And you're like, oh, I see. Yeah. It's like Scottie being like, no, it's great. This is awesome. This is what I wanted. I wanted to be on the Portland Trail Blazers. So yeah, just a sad era. But
yeah. All right. Ultimate Hall of Fame cool kid jersey. I am going to go with Bill Walton.
Yeah, it's a great pick. Yeah, I'm going Sabonis.
Yeah, both fit the criteria. All right, we've got the Clippers Braves franchise. I know you're shocked, but low number of players on this list.
Very low. This is a rough list here. A lot of zeros. I'm looking at a lot of zeros here, Jason.
A lot of zeros, yes. So we've got negative 0.1 win shares for 29 games of Grant Hill toward the end of his career.
0.1.
2 games of Moses Malone for the Braves. Who, speaking of not knowing what you had, although in fairness, they traded him. They gave up 1 draft pick for him, and they got 2 draft picks when they traded him. So they at least netted that in that trade.
Sure.
Jamal Wilkes at the end of his career, 13 games. Paul Pierce, 93 games toward the last couple seasons of his career. Dominique Wilkins, 25 games for the Clippers after the famous Atlanta trade. Bill Walton, 169 games over 6 seasons. At least a couple of those he was not able to play at all. I think actually 3 of those seasons he was not able to play at all, but he did actually play pretty effectively when he was healthy, healthy in quotes. Adrian Dantley played 1 Rookie of the Year playing for the Braves and then was immediately traded. And then Bob McAdoo, best Hall of Famer. Right.
Legitimately good as a Clipper. You know what I mean? Everybody else is just
Right. Yeah. Obviously a Brave, but yes.
Right.
For that franchise. Yeah. So, all right. Hall of Famers drafted or acquired but never played for. We've got Spencer Haywood, who was drafted by that franchise. Tiny Archibald traded there. He played for them in the preseason, but did not actually play during the regular season. And then Bailey Howell, who in the 1970 offseason went from Boston, was selected by Buffalo in the expansion draft, and then went to the Sixers. In fact, he was traded for the 2nd-round pick that became Spencer Haywood. So I know how you love to know those trades.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a great one.
All right. Possible future Hall of Famers. What you got?
Well, all right. I guess we're going to add some to the ranks here. I mean, I don't know how many of these are well, a few of them are legit for sure. Chris Paul, 100% legit. Paul George, 84%. I guess once, his Clippers career is done, it'd probably be legit one here. Chauncey Billups, 84%. Kawhi Leonard, 78%. Rajon Rondo, 60%. Blake Griffin, kind of surprised, only 55% for him. Elton Brand, unfortunately, only at 7%. So
probably not happen. Blake will be an interesting one. I can see that. He's right about the end there, but another guy, it kind of similar to Sean Campbell, like a guy I could definitely see going in, and I don't think would be a bad choice, but isn't like a must-have either.
Right? Yeah, he's a guy like in a bad year or the year when you get a lot of other guys in there. Then it's like, all right, let's talk about Blake Griffin and see what happens. So
yeah. So the best what if scenario, the 77 Braves had Bob McAdoo, which he was on there before the trade to the Knicks, Adrian Dantley, and Moses Malone on the roster at the same time, albeit very briefly. Seems like maybe they could have done more with that. I mean, I'm not sure that that's like the best fit, those 3 guys, but 3 Hall of Famers at the same time. McAdoo obviously not happy there. So yeah, tangibly, it's probably not going to work out, but it just seems like, maybe you could have figured something out.
Yeah, it's the Clippers and the Braves. It's like,
right.
It's like, I guess it's Chris Paul. Like, just don't blow it every single time you're close to winning a title. Just try to not blow it. Just try to, not fall apart in the final 6, game 6, game 7. Just don't fall apart. Just try to be as good as you were in game 2, but it rarely ever does that, and it always fell apart. So
yeah. I mean, I will say that like the way that the Clippers were bad in the 2000s is way better than what they like. I mean, the way that like they were disappointing, I guess. Like the way they, that level of frustration is certainly much better than 15 years of not making.
Right. Yeah. Like having to go into a season being like, I don't know if Lamont Murray really puts it together. This could be our year. And it's like,
it could be.
Instantly, it's not your year. Like the first game, I remember there was, I think it was, I want to say, and I think I have this game like saved on my computer or something like that, but there was I think it was the debut of maybe the 2000 season, and it's the Clippers and the Lakers like starting off the season, and Shaq just puts up like 48 and 27 just to be like, no, you guys are still the Clippers. Like, do not ever have faith that you are anything more than the Clippers. And that's kind of what every single year was. It was like, no, it's not this year. So yeah, getting to like the conference semifinals and just missing, just blowing it, like that you'll take that for sure over, whatever the hell they were from 1986 to to 2005 or whatever. Anything is better than that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, our final team we're going to talk about here, the Cleveland Cavaliers. Wait, I'm sorry. Did I skipped the jerseys, didn't I?
Yeah, we did. But I mean, it is the Clippers, and I mean, most Clippers jerseys aren't that good. But
all right. Ultimate Hall of Fame hipster jersey for me, Moses Malone.
Okay, I'm Bill Walton. Bill Walton.
Right.
San Diego Clippers is pretty solid. So,
all right. Hall of Fame cool kid jersey. Gonna go with McAdoo.
Yeah, that's a cool one. I went Dominique. Dominique would be.
I like it. Yeah, that's fun. That's a good one. All right, Cavaliers.
Explain to me how this list is only 5 people long.
Yeah, I don't know. Shaquille O'Neal, 3.1 win shares in 53 games in 2010. Nate Thurman, 4.3 win shares in 114 games. Of course, got his number retired. He was, from the area, played at Akron, and helped lead them to the 76 conference finals. So that's a fun one. Walt Frazier, we've talked about that many times. Did not work out very well in Cleveland. Ben Wallace, was good there. Certainly was helpful to them. They got worse when they traded him. And then Lenny Wilkins, 73 and 74, actually did play very well. Of course, later coached the team. So, no Hall of Famers drafted or who were drafted or acquired but never played for the franchise. So at least they have that. Possible future Hall of Famers. What you got for me?
LeBron James, 100% feels like a lock, Jason, a mortal lock to make it to the Hall of Fame.
I think so. Yeah.
There might be some people on Twitter that would argue with you about it, but
maybe they like to argue. Yeah.
They might have 24 in their username, but yes, they have 8 or 24 in their username. But LeBron James, 100% lock. Dwayne Wade, 100% lock. Yeah. Cavaliers, Dwayne Wade, I don't know about that. Kyrie Irving, 84%. Sean Marion, 75%. Kevin Love, 73%. That's rising as he leads the upstart Cleveland Cavaliers.
There you go.
And Rajon Rondo, 60%. So that's not only is that a sad sack like lineup of dudes, which is like, Lenny Wilkins at 16.1 is like your best Hall of Famer ever. But after LeBron, it's not even that much better after that. It's like, Kyrie and Kevin Love. It's all right. LeBron's going to be so far ahead of all these other guys. It's just going to be stupid to look at this list after. But I don't know. And my what if scenario for them is just like, I don't know, just don't be the Cleveland Cavaliers. It's probably one. But, no, I mean, this has more to do with Lenny the coach as opposed to Lenny the player. But I don't know, maybe you can have Jeff Gillooly take out like Jordan's knee so they can't make it to the finals for a year or something like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like that's the best scenario is like, he goes up on that shot in Craig Elo and then Craig Elo just blocks it. And it's like, oh, well, there you go. Nonetheless, like, and then, they go to the finals or something like that. But yeah, that's kind of it. Like the what if scenario is just that Michael Jordan either just decides maybe retires from basketball in 1991 as opposed to 94 or whatever. I don't know. Yeah. There's not a whole lot of what ifs with Cleveland. It's just like, I don't know. I mean, where do you go with, especially with these Hall of Famers? I mean, we're not talking about many Hall of Famers here.
Yeah.
Like what's the big what if on Ben Wallace's Cavaliers run? So
actually, I think if they hadn't traded Ben Wallace for Shaq, I think they might have had a chance to win the championship in 2010. I think they would have had a better chance. I think Wallace.
I agree with you. Yeah, that's actually a good one. Joking aside, that is. I agree because they brought in Shaq because they thought like they needed to have another. And they were doing a lot of weird at that time. It was like every year was like we need to give LeBron another star, and it was like just no, you have good players, like just keep them. Like you don't have to do this. You don't have to trade half your team for Mo Williams, even though that's not a bad deal. But this was one that was like do we need Shaq? And no, you really didn't. So
Ben Wallace probably would have been actually would have been a better choice there. Not that Ben Wallace was great, but like he just kind of did things that. Like they needed, he defended. He wasn't relied on to do too much. Like he was still like a pretty effective player. I mean, he was paid too much, but he was still like a pretty effective player. I think that would have. I'm not saying they would have won, but I think they would have had certainly a better shot at winning.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt.
All right. Ultimate Hall of Fame hipster jersey. I'm gonna go with Walt Frazier. I actually would. I would consider. I consider Lenny Wilkins too. That'd actually be kind of fun. I mean, he's their best one, so it's kind of not hipster, but at the same time, it's I don't know, not a lot of great choices here, to be honest. So
yeah, it's a real short list. I'm going Walt Frazier, but I mean that's kind of a cool kid. Well, is it a cool kid jersey? Because then it's just like sad.
We're sort of there's not really like a cool kid jersey because there's no like even Lenny Wilkins
there's
like
nobody cool. None of these people
16. Yeah, not cool to be a Cav. It's like, yeah, I mean, Wilkins is the best one, but like, I mean, he was there 2 years as a player. He obviously coached. Right. Yeah, so
I guess if you wore like a suit and it said Wilkins on the back, you're like, oh yeah, Lenny Wilkins, the coach. Right. He's a great coach, right? You're like, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, this is really tough because like if you're wearing a Shaq Cavs jersey, it's just like, I don't know. Did you get that at like a clearance rack? Like nobody has any affinity for the Shaq Cavs run, and I guess the Nate Thurmond would be my cool kid jersey because then it's like, all right, yeah, Miracle in Richfield, that's cool. But
hey, I mean, Cleveland guy, yeah, I mean that's probably the best choice. But I agree, everything else is either
it's very sad.
right. So yeah. All right, well, we're going to do a third one of these. We're going to talk about the rest of the more modern NBA teams, but we're gonna cut off here. We've gone pretty long, so hopefully people are digging these shows, digging this conversation. Appreciate everyone listening. Of course, you can find us wherever podcasts are played. If you want to hit that subscribe button and give us a rating and or a review, we would greatly appreciate it. Positive rating. If you gave us a negative rating and review, we would not appreciate that. We would be very sad. And you don't want to destroy our egos.
No. Or just reach out to us and tell us why we suck.
Yeah.
We will try to improve.
That's fine.
We'll probably, I mean, we might listen, but I'll listen. Yeah, I'll listen.
Yeah, you can find us on Twitter at Over and Back NBA. For now,
as long as it lasts. Yeah, by this time Twitter might have exploded. So
we're
other places too.
Yeah, we're on Facebook. We're on we've got an Instagram account. We've been doing much with it, but I think we might start doing more with Instagram. See if and see where the social media birds lead us. That's not a good expression. Maybe Mastodon. Maybe hey, if there's a social media platform that you think, hey, you would be great on this, it would be a great conversation. Let us know, and we will listen and perhaps start it. So we'll see how that goes. So So thanks everyone for checking us out, and we will be back again soon.
It's here. Peloton's best offer of the season. Get up to $300 off accessories when you purchase a Peloton tread. Choose from accessories like a heart rate monitor, non-slip grip dumbbells, yoga blocks, and more. If you've been looking for a sign to join Peloton, this offer gives you everything you need to get going. Hurry, Peloton's best offer of the season is here, but not for long. Visit onepeloton.com to learn more. All access membership separate. Limited time offer cannot be combined with other offers. See additional terms at onepeloton.com.